Hi, it's Miss Groats. We are doing the day 3 viruses on the edge of life. How fitting learning about viruses right now. I'm glad that we were able to go over the coronavirus and how viruses are easily destroyed by using soap. What a simple thing. Not hand sanitizer, which we're so used to, but just simple soap kills viruses. How lucky are we that that happens? All right, so I'm on the reading. If you do not have your packet, that is perfectly fine. You can watch this video and I will pause on different frames of it so that you get a chance to go through and read this, or you can listen to me read it for you. The questions that will be answered in the end are going to be down here. Once again, if you don't have the packet, just write these down on any form of paper. Hold on to it so I can give you credit for it. It doesn't have to be in the exact packet. You can do it all online like this. So we're reading the article, Viruses on the Edge of Life. Question number 1 that I want to look out for. What is a virus and why do viruses matter? Well, clearly viruses matter. We're going to read in the article to figure out why. Why do some scientists say that viruses are on the edge of life? Oh, cool. That's going to be a very interesting fact that we get to look for. I'm going to be paying attention to those quotation marks and this text in there. I'm also looking for how do viruses reproduce? Super relevant right now. So when a virus is reproducing, that's how it's able to infect people. So it can infect the person who is infected with the virus, and it also, depending on the type of virus, can spread to infect others that way. So virus is reproducing. Right now, the coronavirus is reproducing. So it reproduces inside the body of someone who's sick, and then they're able to be contagious because that virus that keeps getting reproduced, the word reproduce means to make more of it. It's able to get out in different ways. So in science, it's so important when we understand this information. One, we're able to know how we can protect ourselves from viruses, and two, we also know what we can expect. So we're learning a lot about viruses right now, and I'm more than happy to share some data if you have questions about the coronavirus. I can send the sources. So finding information from a source is very important. We need to use reliable sources in this time. So I trust Amplify as a source about viruses. There are a lot of websites out there that I really would not trust. So if you're getting something from the New York Times, the Washington Post, those are all reliable sources, but we do want to avoid random websites with information about viruses. And then number 4, why are viruses more difficult to treat than bacteria? If you've ever had a bacterial infection before, they give you antibiotics. Antibiotics are pretty good at killing bacteria. What they do is they kill about all of the bacteria in your body. So we learned that when we have healthy bacteria, that's actually really good, and it's our body's best defense at keeping away harmful bacteria. And if we also have a lot of healthy bacteria on our body, it's also able to help help protect us from viruses in a sense. So we really do want that healthy bacteria. But it's easy for us to get rid of a bacteria infection by using antibiotics. So we've taken those before. If you have an ear infection, that's a bacterial infection, you would get that pink medicine that tastes really good from the doctor, and that's going to get rid of it. For a virus, though, because it's different, we need something that's called a vaccine. So vaccines are different than antibiotics. We have a lot of known antibiotics that exist. The medicine is something that you can get. Vaccines, we have to make a different one for each type of virus. Also, viruses are able to change and mutate over time. So the longer a virus exists, the more we, as scientists, we are constantly testing it, and we're actually updating the vaccines that we give so that we're giving the best fit for the newest one, because as we change our medicine, viruses on their own are naturally changing things. And scientists are aware of this, so we got lots of labs on this who are all experts, and they've been practicing this for a long time. So let's read about this. All right, viruses on the edge of life. Oh no. Imagine you woke up this morning with a sore throat, an achy body, and skin that feels like it's burning up, as if you have a fever. You might have influenza, also known as the flu. Influenza is caused by a virus, a tiny structure that infects the living cells of animals, plants, and all kinds of bacteria and microorganisms. Wow, so viruses are so small that they can infect bacteria and microorganisms. Hmm, I wonder, looking over here, I'm curious about these must be some cells that are from something that's an organism. Let's see. And I'm guessing that this might be a healthy cell, these two, and that these ones that are marked up might be cells that are infected by a virus. Well, I'm gonna have to read more, but that's my first prediction. Okay, viruses are very simple and they exist on a microscopic scale. Microscopic means they're so tiny that we can't see them with our eye. We have to use a microscope. Um, they're just tiny bundles of DNA covered in a coat of protein, sometimes with a layer of fat molecules for extra protection. And most of them are about 100 times smaller than the average cell, the largest at about 300 nanometers. That's super tiny. Um, all right. Because viruses are so simple, scientists argue about whether they count as living organisms. On one hand, viruses are not made of cells, which scientists consider the basic unit of life. So scientists consider cells to be the basic piece of life. They're saying that viruses are so much smaller than cells and so much simpler that they don't count as living things. But we do know that viruses can go inside of cells, make more of the virus, and infect other cells, and that viruses are also able to mutate and change themselves. So scientists are kind of close to saying, are viruses living things or are they not? We're going to read more. On the other hand, they have DNA. Your DNA is what makes you who you are. So your DNA, half of it came from your parents, half of it came from a father, half of it came from a mother, all of it came from your parents. And so on the other hand, they have DNA and are able to reproduce. And they evolve through natural selection, all of which are important qualities of living things. Sometimes some scientists say that viruses are on the edge of life. Viruses may be simple, but they're good at what they do, reproducing. Because viruses don't have cell bodies of their own, they use living cells of other host organisms in order to reproduce or make more of themselves. When it's time to reproduce, a virus latches on to a living cell. They latch onto a living cell kind of like puzzle pieces fitting together. So a virus has a certain spike shape that's real easy for it to kind of stick into a cell, and then it gets stuck in there and it's able to take over. Let's read how that happens. So the virus latches onto a living cell and injects its own DNA into the body of the cell. So instead of your healthy cells making other healthy cells using your DNA from your parents, this virus gets into your cell and then it takes over what the cell's making. So it makes the virus's DNA instead of yours. This is where the body kind of reacts by trying to attack the parts that are affected by the virus to kill those cells. In that process, it could be bad for our bodies depending on the cells that we're losing. Okay, so back to this. So the virus DNA takes over the cell, and forces it to make more viruses. When the host cell is full of new viruses, they burst out, killing the cell. The new virus then looks for a new cell to infect, and the cycle begins again. For some viruses, this happens quickly, but some viruses hide their DNA in the host cells for years, allowing the cells to copy the virus DNA over and over as the cells reproduce, but not actually making the host sick. So sometimes you can be infected and have the virus and be contagious even without feeling sick. And that's what we're seeing a lot right now. It's very unlikely that kids are getting the virus, and it's also very unlikely that kids have the virus attacking their cells very fast. So we're noticing this and we're doing studies on it. For example, people infected with HIV can have the virus in their cells for years before they develop AIDS, which is a collection of serious symptoms caused by the virus. All right, I skipped over some pictures. I'm going to go back to those. So the caption for this picture right here is that viruses are tiny biological structures that cause illness in plants, animals, all kinds of bacteria, and microorganisms. Colors were added to this photo to make it easier to see. Normally, these microscopic photos are done in black and white, but we added some colors so that we could see it. So those are some infected cells. We have some healthy cells here. These ones are filled with the virus. So the cell is going to fill with the virus until it's too much. It's going to explode open, and you don't feel anything if that happens to one of your cells. All of us have had this happen before, and we don't feel it like that. But what does happen is that these, when this goes open, are going to find new cells that they can go into and reproduce to make more of themselves. All right, so viruses share some characteristics with living things, but not all. Some scientists say that they're on the edge of life. Okay, now let's look at this last picture. Viruses are bundles of DNA covered in layers of protein. Colors were added to this photo to make it easier to see. So inside here, this is the bundled virus DNA, and it's covered in protein. Now, what's really cool is that the protein that it's covered in is broken down with soap. So before the virus gets here inside our cells, we're able to break down the protein and attack the DNA with just putting soap on stuff, which is really cool. Um, so because they infect living cells, viruses are hard to treat without killing the host cells as well. The antibiotic medicine used to treat bacterial infections kill bacteria, but antibiotics do not have an effect on viruses. The best way to fight viruses is to prevent them with vaccines. A vaccine is a weakened version of the virus, which is injected into a healthy patient. The weakened virus doesn't make the patient sick, but it does prepare the human's immune system to fight the virus in the future. All right, so focusing on a strong immune system is really helpful for fighting off viruses. After we do that reading, you're going to go down and answer these 4 questions. I have something on Google Classroom about Flipgrid. I'm still in the process of fixing it, so don't worry about the Flipgrid for it. But yeah, just go ahead and write those down, and that's all that I have for today. Bye!